Hi guys, my name is Alexander and I just want to talk a little bit about what I do and what makes my work so special. It's basically the synthesis of astrology and energy healing. So in a session, I can help you with whatever your goals are. That includes figuring out what your goal is in the first place, and that's where the astrological part comes in very handy because I will get into it a little bit more, but you can see kind of a more three-dimensional perspective of what's going on with you as the person, as my client. And also, you'd be really surprised how many people aren't aware of what they want, what their goals are, to express them, to formulate them, and then to go after them is a completely different story altogether. So before I get into all of that about how it's all coming together, I think it's really important that I mention all the individual working parts. So in astrology, there are many different types of schools. There's Indian or Vedic astrology, there's medieval astrology, there's newspaper astrology, and each one of these schools, every system has its own alphabet of archetypes. In the same way that different languages have their own alphabets of letters, and the letters that make up words, that then make up sentences, and they make up pages, and then books, and then they are inspiring people and creating new thought and advancing man. And in the same way, the archetypes are having different understandings in each school, which makes each school very different, okay? So I use and have created Astrolochi, which is using the archetypal alphabet of the 22 archetypes of creation that we know from the tarot. And these are the major and the minor arcana. And these 22 archetypes, they permeate all of existence, and they are within each and every one of us in a very unique constellation. Just like a fingerprint. So it's very unique. Now, these 22 archetypes, they are manifested within the DNA at the genetic level. For example, we have 22 chromosomes, and there are 22 archetypes. Now, of course, the 23rd chromosome determines our gender. But this is where it all starts. This is where then it permeates out into our reality and subatomic levels. And it expands it throughout our energetic systems, through our anatomy, through our physiology. These 22 archetypes, they are actual genetic as well as our cosmic DNA. And they also determine how we look. Actually, I have a book that's almost 100 years old now. It's about 1,000 pages, and it has very small print like a dictionary. And it has every combination of planet and star that you can imagine that describes diseases and how they manifest, which is really, really, really cool. So it was actually written by a medical doctor, and it has everything in it from cancer to financial issues. So yeah, even financial issues. So for example, if you are having financial issues, in my work this is defined as a deficiency. It's something that's missing, something that's lacking. So I can look into your birth chart, and then I can check with your body of the root of where this is occurring. And this could be something that's connected to a nutritional deficiency. I have different ways of figuring out where these things are rooted from. These are finger modes that we're using in a session. And we can look and see where is this connected. So then it could be as above, so below, as within, so without. A nutritional solution is going to help you with your financial issue. Absolutely, because as that mineral or that vitamin that's connected to whatever archetype that is creating or that is telling us, pointing out where this is happening, it starts to begin to fulfill itself, and then it spreads out into reality. And because I also practice naturopathy, I have access to professional grade vitamins that you can't get in the stores, and they can help with all sorts of things. So when, like I said, when this deficiency is filled, it begins to spread out into reality, eliminating the financial issue. Again, as above, so below, so within. as within, so without. So with that said, I think it's very important that I say I do not treat any diseases. I only work on this archetypal level, which is the seed level of all the chaos, where we can really make those changes. Now, these archetypes that I'm talking about, these 22 archetypes, they are dancing throughout space at all times, making various angles and relations to each other, and all of this can be seen by looking into an Astrology birth chart, which uses its own parameters and its own setup and its own rules. And this is a snapshot of the dance floor of these archetypes from the moment you took your first breath in this life. Now, this data is based on astronomical calculations and can be read, of course, by anybody who knows a little bit about astrology, of course, within their understanding of the archetypes naturally. Again, not every school of astrology is the same. As you can imagine, the teachings of astrology, as they have been passed down, they have been misunderstood, like an archetypal game of telephone. Even you add to that, the meanings are getting mixed up and the different archetypes and understandings not really penetrating the true essence of it. On top of that, the rulers who did know about the true meanings of the archetypes, they wanted to keep it a secret. They wanted to use them to have advantage over other people, to control people, to keep them in fear. And it makes sense why astrology over the years has gotten a little bit shady for people who are like skeptical about it. So it's not something that we need to be afraid of. Even actually, even in the Old Testament, it says, do not be afraid of astrology. You should use it as a tool. Just saying. Okay, so it's really not something that we need to be afraid of. It's something that can help us prepare for life. Now, and speaking of preparing for life, doctors needed to actually, in the old days, know the moon phases. They needed to study astrology in order to know when to operate on patients. So, when the moon is full, we know that it affects the waters here on Earth. We know it affects the tides, and because we're made up of more than 70% of water, it affects our bodies as well. So doctors would not make incisions on patients when people were swelling up with fluid, because it would create all kinds of problems that could be avoided. These things can just be avoided. Really smart. Also, today, ER rooms, they bring in double staff when the moon is full because there are more accidents, there are more motorcycle accidents, there are more things happening, then more patients are coming in, more people are coming in, so they need help. They just know that. This is about being prepared. So it is my passion and my mission to bring this lost wisdom back in its corrected form and then synthesize it with all the modern advances that we have today here, all the technology that we have for medicine, all of that, so that we can heal at the seed level with everything we have available to us and then complete our karma as a collective. It's really important that we do that, especially now is the time. Now, I understand that looking into a chart can be a little bit intimidating. I get it. It's like, it can create the same kind of anxiety when you get your blood results or you're getting some test results back. But the cool thing is about a chart, you guys, is that you can cast a chart in 5 days, for 4 weeks, for 5 months, for 5 years ahead. And those, because it's astronomically calculated, those transits, those planets will be exactly where they are calculated to be in 5 months or 5 years from now. So, as you can see, it's not about fortune telling. It's about being able to transcend the influences of our karma, because that's essentially what we're looking at when we're looking into an astrology chart. And be prepared and to empower ourselves so that we can make proactive decisions with any situation whatsoever. That's all it's about. So it's really empowering. So when I use an astrology chart to understand the unique relationship of these archetypes that have come together to create a chart, like your birth chart, for example, and that's going to stay with you for your entire life, which is a consequence of past life actions and experiences. So what that means is that your karma goes with you, and it will always determine what may come. Now, I'm really huge on free will. I have other videos about the difference between free will, destiny, fate, and all of that. I'm really big on that. So it's about really overcoming these influences. Now, with that said, it's not the archetypes. It's not your astrology. We shouldn't blame anything. that's pointing out what things that we need to work on. That's part of the bigger picture that we need to tap into. So this could be things that you need to complete, okay? This could also be actions that you need to take responsibility for. It could also be merits that you need to activate, because think about it. God-given gifts, God-given talents, they are things that we have earned from past lives that we've been reborn with. And if we don't activate them, they'll just go to waste. We might never even know that they're there, or something might happen that might reawaken us that we have to activate them. So in the same way, after you die in this life, all these unresolved issues, perhaps the merits, they will travel with you into the next life. So when I look into your chart, I can see what needs to be corrected in this life, as well as what's triggering, what are the buttons that are being pushed at any given moment at the various different aspects of your chart. And of course, I'm teaching all this, how to do this as well, and I'm creating programs to teach it, more widespread, and this is also what I'm doing in my work. So when working with energy healing now, here's the other part, is that I work with kinesiology, or muscle monitoring, which allows me to check some really cool things in context to the astrological system. So the kinesiology would be the hardware, and the astrology would be the software. So the kinesiology part allows me to check the root of the problem, okay, through the communicating with the subconscious mind that records everything in life, through the nervous system, which then is manifesting through the muscles and everything in the body, which are being tested. And then here's the really cool part, you guys. I can check, is it ready to be balanced? And what is the best way to balance it? That is just amazing. So it's a very hands-on approach. It's very unique to you, because if you just go and you say, oh, I want my chakras balanced, we've seen people who've had like their chakras open, and then it's like it can do so much damage. It might not even be appropriate. So we can really check and see, and that's why you have to respect the body and see what is going on. Okay? So I can check what is the priority, what's the best way to do it, so that you can take the next step. So for example, if you come to me with problems with your boss, and it turns out in the session that your boss reminds you of your mother, and maybe in a past life something happened and it hasn't been resolved. So here we go. Very simple. The problem isn't with your mother, the problem isn't with your boss, the problem is with your reaction, the thing that you're holding on to, the root level of the karma that needs to be processed out. So working on the symptoms of just the boss will bring some short-term relief, but is it going to resolve the problem really? No, it's going to re-render with somebody else. That's why things happen over and over and over and over again. We want to stop that. So while you can't take your belongings with you into your next life, you do end up taking all of the intangible thoughts, the emotions, the ideas, the mindsets, all of that goes with you, including the problem with your boss, if you didn't resolve it. So the thing is that I help you uninstall this karma on a very physical level, because everything is connected, as above so below, as within so without. So that's what I really love so much about my work with Astrology. I have to really customize the balancing to you, which is very unique, as your birth chart doesn't get any more personal than that, because it's your cosmic DNA with all the archetypes, the planets and the signs and everything. So remember, these 22 archetypes rule over the 22 chromosomes. We have the 10 planets in astrology, and then we have the 12 signs. So this is the 22. Really, really, really powerful. So in essence, with astrology, I'm able to really see the spiritual and the physical status of a person, of a place, or even a business. Because you guys, anything that can be created in this world, it has a chart. So we can look at it from a three-dimensional perspective. So with that said, I thank you for listening. I hope that I've inspired some new ways of thinking and perhaps a new perspective. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you'd like to learn more, please go to my website, arikxander.com. Find me on social media. If you'd like to book a session, you can do also on arikxander.com, or if you want to learn how to do this, you can also find it out on my website. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you're new here to get more videos like this. And I thank you all very much, and I'll see you next time. And bye-bye.